All right, guys. Joe McDonough back here for CageSidePress.com. Usually I am joined by a fighter on the other end. Today I am just as excited, if not more excited, to talk to, I guess, MMA Twitter personality, rapper, Who You Got rapper, Tovaun Anthony. Tovaun, how are you doing, man?
Dude, I'm doing wonderful, man. The week is crazy, but I'm just fine. How are you?
Absolutely. As I was down, messaging with you earlier, it feels like a Friday. It's a Tuesday afternoon. So, I mean, that explains exactly how the week is going. But, hey, and we don't even have any fights this weekend to get our minds off it. We got to wait, but that's all right. We had some pretty blessed cards in the last couple of days.
100%.
So,
Jesus.
With you and sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
With you and just all of this, I think it's just one of the coolest things ever. I tweeted at you on fight day or the day before fight day. I need these predictions. I just think it's great. What got you into MMA? I guess would be my first question. It's just what's your background in MMA? Do you train at all? Do you just have a love for the sport? Was it recent? Was it something that since you were a kid? Take me through kind of your background story of MMA.
It was actually years ago. What got me into MMA is a friend of mine I went to high school with. He was training and he was competing on like the regional circuit around here, and he invited me to a couple of fights. I couldn't make it at the time, and then when I finally was able to make it to a card he was on, I was just blown away by the people I saw there, and I had always been into martial arts since I was a kid. Like I did Taekwondo when I was younger, but I didn't really stick with it because most of my friends were into basketball, but I really wanted to really get back into it. I had other friends that boxed and did other things as well. And I'm like, one day I'm going to do this, but my parents don't want me to get hit for some odd reason. So after I went to his fight, and like I said, I saw everyone else on the card. I saw like just the different techniques that were utilized, guys that could wrestle, guys that could it was some guys in there doing movie style stuff too. And I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. I don't know if I specifically want to do it, but I want to learn it. So that's what kind of got me into back into really wanting to train. And to this day, I'm still doing Muay Thai mainly. Grappling, I know a bit of wrestling. I still gotta keep my promise to my coaches and jump into a jiu-jitsu class or two one day. I'm like, you guys just want to strangle me, but no, that's really what's got me into it. And then just watching the fights, watching UFC events, Bellator, and kickboxing, boxing. Like I said, I'm into the fight game in general. But
absolutely.
That's really what made me interested in doing anything as far as just being a fan. I like talking to other people in general about, okay, who do you think is going to win this, or which fighter you like, this, that, and the other. And because I'm a musician as well, I wanted to do something music wise, but I'm like, I mean, it's not like I'm going to be making music for any of these companies anytime soon. But I just had the idea that maybe I should do predictions a musical way, and then I started thinking of it maybe I could rap it, but I'm like, I'm not really a rapper. I have friends that are rappers, you know what I mean? So I'm like, do I do this? So I thought it was going to be corny. I thought people were going to troll me for days on the internet, but no, they didn't. Everybody welcomed it. At the end of the day, we're just fans, and when we see somebody who does something creative with the thing we all like, you support it. So yeah,
absolutely. And like you said, I was going to ask what really got you into, and you said, you're a musician, you also love MMA, you kind of mix the two together. And I like what you said. You thought people would troll it. Instead, we're here begging for more. As someone who, works for multiple sites, I give my predictions. My sites tweet them out. I look through them, and it's, you see it all the time with all the sites. There's tons of MMA sites. There's tons of MMA writers and journalists. They put their predictions and you want to look through them, but it's hard to stick out. And for you have people saying, whoa, I want to see that. So I guess for you, as someone who gives predictions every week, how often do you change predictions? I mean, has there ever been a time when you've done it and you're just like, wait, nope, I'm going Poirier, I'm going McGregor. How often do you change the predictions during the week?
Dude, it's often, very often. I remember, and I actually have to say this because the first time I believe it was my first Who You Got video, because before that I just rapped about my favorite fighters. But the first Who You Got video, I believe I said there was a fighter who was I said he was Russian. He wasn't Russian. He was from Kazakhstan, I believe. What is his name? He beat Cowboy Oliveira last year. I'm trying to remember his name, but right before I recorded the video, I decided to switch from him. He was my first pick, and I switched to Cowboy. Yeah. And then he demolished Cowboy. I was like, well, that's karma for saying he was Russian. But but yeah, no, I switch all the time. Like even with the Connor Cowboy deal, the entire week. That was actually why I started doing the my new series that is called Blue Corner, Red Corner, where I'm really just talking about attributes of the main event, right? And yeah, that's kind of why I did that, because I'm like, I'm sort of torn on who I actually think is going to win here. And then for the Who You Got video, I was like, you know what, just keep it simple, don't even go too far, because the verse for that actual prediction was going to be much longer. And then I'm thinking, well, I'm working with Twitter, so I only got 2 minutes and 20 seconds. I could go into a rabbit hole here. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to say Connor, and I'm just going to say it'll be by KO, but it won't be under 60 seconds. Like, no way. And oh my goodness. I was like, wow.
And with that, that Shavkat Rachmanov beat Cowboy Oliveira in that fight, and so
he's scary.
He is. He's terrifying. And like you said, you switch back and forth all the time, and you said you have videos about your favorite fighters. So I do want to talk about your favorite fighters in a minute, but one question just kind of popped into my mind. You know, when you do these Blue Corner, Red Corner videos, or the Who You Got, it's not just a McGregor. It's like not just McGregor KO. It's not just random. You do research. You know your stuff, and I think that is the coolest part about the raps, is that not only is it a rap with predictions, but it's informative. It tells you, usually you're saying who they just beat, how they just beat them, what are they doing, are they off weight, all of this stuff. Were they just a lightweight and they've moved up to welterweight or moved down, whatnot. Is that something that you, when you see these cards and you see the names come up, do you go kind of down a rabbit hole of research? Do you watch interviews? What's the, I know, as magicians say, they don't give away their tricks, but what do you do that kind of helps inform you with all these fighters?
Well, I'll give it all away. So I do my best to try to stay as up to date as possible with anybody who's fighting. I try to stay ahead of cards. If it's new fighters, like if they're debuting and I've never seen them before, like I watch, like I say, I watch other promotions. If I can find some like regional things, or if like friends send me certain things, I'll check it out as well. And if I see a name that ends up in the UFC, I'm like, okay, at least I know a little bit about this guy. I can run down the rabbit hole with him. When it comes to the fighters most people know, I go off of what I've seen them do and how I've seen them perform mainly. So that's really how I get that going. And if it's like little things I don't know, whether it's like their record or their nickname, or I don't know, maybe even something that they do on Instagram or Twitter or something like that, like, I'll look into that and then I'll work from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. You've done it. And I actually, when was the first time you started this? Was it this past year?
Yeah, this past year.
Do you remember the first card, or not? Maybe not the first card, but because I believe up to now it's only been UFC events. Is that correct?
It's been, mainly UFC events, UFC pay-per-views and fight nights mainly.
So in the future, could we possibly see some Bellator, LFA, Cage War? Some of those bigger cards that with other promotions, because like you said, you love all, you love martial arts. You don't just love just UFC. You watch Bellator. I'm assuming you watch LFA, all of that stuff. So in the future, we're going to see some, Ryan Bader and Nemkov and all these guys, Patricio Pitbull, those type of predictions.
100%. The reason why I started with the UFC is because it was just the easiest thing for me at the time, and also I thought that it would be easier for people to kind of get onto. those that wouldn't find it cringeworthy or whatever. But yeah, no, definitely. One of the main, I made a joke about it because there was a guy that asked me about doing one for a 1FC card, and I was like, well, if I can pronounce half those names correctly, look, dude, they got some top fighters in there where I'm like, how do I rhyme this? I got to figure this out. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the other part. I mean, you've got not only these names, you've got to rhyme with everything and stuff. So just insane. So I want to hear about your I'm gonna put you on the spot. Top 5 fighters, UFC, outside of UFC, I don't care. Past fighters, present fighters, doesn't matter. Your top 5, your Mount Rushmore, I guess is what we said.
Ooh, Mount Rushmore. That makes me think old.
In the sense of your favorites, not in the sense of goats or anything like that, greatest.
Okay.
But people that you consider your favorite.
My favorites, man, that switches all the time. Okay, so this is what I'll do. I'll give you 3 people that are my favorite all time and 2 people that are my favorite right now.
Okay.
So in no particular order. Well, number 1 will be in order. Number 1, my favorite all time, point blank, Valentina Shevchenko. That's it. If we go with others, I have Khabib, of course. I have Fedor, of course. Then if we go right now, I will go with only because I think he's just monstrous and flexible. Rafael Fiziev from Kyrgyzstan. And do I really want to say this? You know what? I'm gonna be safe.
I think you have to say it now.
Nah. I'm gonna be safe. I'm gonna say Izzy for now. Because he's a nerd. He's a nerd like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I've had the pleasure of interviewing Israel Adesanya, and one thing he describes himself as is a fight nerd, which I love when fighters call themselves fight nerds. It's just so cool. So I mean, another thing that and this will be my last question for you is just how many takes does it take to I do a podcast. When I record it, it's done, it's recorded, I send it to my editor and I say, it's all yours now, make it look pretty, send it back to me, and we'll go from there. Do you have an editor? Is it all you? And how long does this take? What is your take limit, I guess?
Well, it depends. If it's like what happened with this past card, oh man, that was a bit because it was so much just back and forth as far as rewriting and then jumping in. The first video I ever did, I got all that done in an hour. I woke up, wrote it, made the beat, and recorded it. And but I think it happened like that mainly because I was like, well, I'm just gonna do it, and whatever people think is whatever people thinks, So but it can vary from very short to very long. On average, I would say a couple hours though, because when it comes to making the music for it, I have tunes running around in my head all the time, or I might have something that I made a long time ago and I'm like, okay, let me expand on this, put it in there, and I could just rap on top of it. So not long.
And then last thing for me, and we all love it, so we're glad you're doing it. What is, and I want to, so I can link it at the bottom, what is your favorite or your proudest who you got to date?
My proudest one, actually, hold on one second. I'm gonna do this because it was no, I can say it. The proudest one was the Moreno Figueiredo card. That was my proudest one because that was the first time I utilized my guitar and my bass, and I was playing that live, not live, but I was playing it in the video and everything like that. So I just had the most fun with that because I got to switch up rhythms and stuff. And I don't know, it was just so much fun to do. And then also the last sequence with it, because I think when I was announcing the final fight, the way I said it, I didn't just rap it out. I sort of introduced it by saying danger. All I feel is danger. And I'm like, okay, this is going to work out. It's going to be so fun. And that card was dangerous. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm going to link that at the bottom of the interview, man. I thank you for the time, Tovaun. Thank you so much. I love what you're doing. I know from looking at Twitter that everyone's loving what you're doing. And I look, it's something I look forward to in fight week, just to see it, hear it, and hear not only your predictions, but just hear your research and the tunes and lines you come up with, man.
Oh, well, thank you so much, brother. And thank you for having me on again.
Absolutely, man.